Today is a very nice day. I thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity to talk to you on a subject which is about which I'm passionately in love. More so because this being the leap year, otherwise we would have been celebrating National Science Day on 28th of February. So it's a very nice occasion to defend science in presence of recent statements during last 1 year by large number of very eminent people, which have bothered me as well as many of my friends when they claim that Ganesh is an example of some kind of medical magic that we learned in the past, or we had aeroplanes that were making interplanetary travel 9,000 years back. And then in this year's Science Congress, which was also attended by several Nobel laureates, they claimed that blowing shunk is good for the mental growth. I mean, such statements belittle the achievement that we very rightly did in the past, as well as they discourage scientists to pursue the goal of unraveling the truth and reality and compete in this extremely difficult area of pursuit by mankind. Science is not only done in laboratories. I mean, science is done, is part of everything, whatever we do. I mean, just look at the flowers and try to understand the colors of the flower, pollinate them, crossbreed them, look at the sky and see the rainbow and rising, appreciating the beauty of sunset and sunrise. And when you walk on the road, you try to avoid the banana skin. Why do you do that? I mean, you should recite a mantra and the banana skin should disappear. I mean, you know that you would slip. When there is rain, you avoid muddy waters because you are likely to slip over there. And you are doing science many a time without even knowing. And therefore, it is very important for conscious citizen to understand what is the method of science. Let me first try to explain that in most simple way, and then we should see that science is the only method of knowing the truth about things. And how do we differ from large number of myths? I mean, I have I've been told by large number of my friends about various myths, but I can't, of course, talk about all of them. I've selected some about which I would definitely talk. There are basically three methods of science. I mean, giving lecture to such an audience is a very difficult task. And therefore, I've decided as the lowest common denominator, a person who is probably doing science in high school. So, I mean, experts sitting in this audience, I would apologize to them for being so elementary in my exposition about science. Subjectively, I think there are three basic methods which are used in science to unravel the truth about anything. The first, the most elementary one, which has been available to mankind since ever, almost ever, are the five senses. The sense of sight, the smell, the taste, hearing, and touch. Using this, I see you present over here. I see the building of this school. I know it's real. I came to my brother's house. That is real. My brother sitting here, that's real. If I see the flower, I know it's real. So, I mean, this is one way of knowing reality around us. However, there are many things which we can't see. It doesn't mean that they don't exist. I know that atoms, molecules, bacteria, they exist. X-rays, gamma rays, MRI is done all the time. You have telescope, you have other instruments, radio waves, television wave. I know that I can't see them, I can't feel them, I can't touch them, but I know that they exist. So this then, about those things that we can't see, we develop extensions in terms of large number of instruments. For example, we have telescope, we have microscope to see bacteria. These are things that help us understand. Telescope is no magic. I know how telescope works. I can see my finger, so I know this is real. So when I see bacteria or germs, then I know that it's all real. So telescope helped us in extending the reach of our senses to those areas which are not directly accessible to us. That's one way of knowing the reality around us. How do we know about dinosaurs? How do we know about long extinct civilizations like the Indus Valley civilization, the Inca, the Chinese, or the Mesopotamian or Inca civilization? How do we know? We have developed the art of archaeology, and we know how to carbon date things. We collect artifacts in archaeological excavations, and we know how old they are. We excavate the whole area. We know how the houses are formed. So, I mean, this is how we know about the past. We know about dinosaurs because we know that we can do carbon dating by excavations. We know that dinosaurs lived somewhere around 300 million years back. So this is one way of knowing reality. Using very special instrument, we have been able to discover what is the velocity of light. These were very difficult experiments. They were done at the end of the 19th century. And the number is just enormous. 3 lakh kilometers per second. I know that sound travels much slower, 330 meters per second. So when you see during rainy season, thunder, you see first the flash of light, and then later on you hear the thunder. I know why, because I know the velocity of light, I know the velocity of sound. But light is a wonderful thing. It also helps you go back in time. I can't go back to Indus Valley civilization, but with light we can, in a way, go back in time, in the sense light takes finite time to travel a distance. For example, when I'm seeing you in past, not in present, because the light has taken some time from you to travel to me. This is such a short distance, and the light travels so fast that I don't feel as if I'm not seeing you in the present. But if I look at sun, I know that light takes about 8 minutes to travel from sun to you. So what I'm seeing sun now is what it was 8 minutes back. The nearest star to our galaxy, I mean, this is how I'm giving you examples where we have been able to understand the reality around us. The nearest star, the Alpha Centauri, is about more than 4 light years away. What does it mean? Light takes 4 years to travel from the star to us. So when I see the star now, then I'm seeing it what it was 4 years back. Maybe it's no more. There are galaxies which are even much farther, and we know we can measure their distance. There's a galaxy about which a lot of people might have heard its name, Andromeda Galaxy. It's about more than 100 million light years away, and it's approaching our galaxy. I know what is the speed with which it's traveling. The speed, I can tell you, it's about 110 kilometers per second. So it's going to be gobbled up by our galaxy in about 4 billion years. This is the beauty of science, that it tells you even about those things which are not accessible, which I can't put in my laboratory. I mean, this school must have a very good laboratory, but I can't put stars and sun or galaxies inside it to examine it. But with the help of light, I can understand large number of its properties. What is the distance, whether it's stationary or not. Now, when we look at the sky, I mean, all of us just wonder how many stars are there. By looking at the sky, scientists have discovered that most of the galaxies are moving away with a given speed. All farther they are, the greater is their speed. And it so happens that using this data, they have been able to conjecture that at one point of time, all the galaxies were at one place, and the theory of Big Bang, which probably many of you are aware of. These are some of the things that one can understand with the help of special instruments, which aid our five senses. So, I mean, this is the way to find out reality about space and universe around us, as well as about ourselves. Then there is a third method. But before I come to the third method, there are a large number of people who try to question this themselves and maybe ask also, why are we alone in this universe? There must be life somewhere else also. How do we answer the question of life on other planets or other solar systems? We don't know now. At the moment, it seems that we are alone. But it's only the method of science in future that would help us know where life is. And the beauty of science lays in the fact that what we know now, future generation is going to use these scientific instruments to unravel many beautiful things about the universe, about ourselves, and about the world around us. It goes on changing. It goes on discovering new and new things. But the method has to be followed. I mean, it's not that I say that there is a star whose name is Alpha. The others should be able to also locate that star, check correctly, mercilessly check anything that is said by anyone. I mean, even Einstein and Newton are challenged. That's the beauty of science. The third method, which is less familiar, is by imagining models. In some cases, it's very difficult to even use these instruments and your five senses to be able to discover the truth. For example, if I want to see what is inside the atom, or what is the structure of cell of a living species, it is very difficult to use. There are no instruments that can give you a picture of what is inside the atom. So what we do is that we imagine that this is what is probably there. But we don't stop at that place. We make predictions based on what we have imagined. We make large number of properties that should be observed if this is so and so. So we make what we call as models. And we test those models by making large number of experiments. All models are based on certain assumptions. But the assumption have to be verified with the help of testing the predictions. I'll give you two examples of how models work. One of the best thing about models is that if there is a single experiment which measures a property of the substance about which we have made a model, if that property is in contradiction with the experiment, then that model is rejected. A new model. Go back to the drawing board. You must have committed some mistake. You try to understand more and see that things are done in such a way that the predictions of the model, which have to be more than that. There was a model long time back that our Earth is resting on the seeing of a guy. And when the guy changes the load of the Earth from one seeing to other seeing, earthquake takes place. This was one of the models. What is wrong with this model? This is so simple, this is so sweet, and this is so easy to understand. The difficulty with this model is that it does not make any prediction. It makes an assumption that cannot be tested. So if I send a rocket around Earth to see where is that cow, I don't discover any cow. So what happens? The person says that cow is invisible, so you can't see. Now, if you can't see the cow, you can not see it seeing, the Earth is resting on it. You can't make any predictions based on the model, which can be tested by me, you, or anybody anywhere in the world. So a model has to be such that it must have the possibility to prove right or wrong also. एक मॉडल और मैंने अभी हाल में एक किताब पढ़ी थी, उसमें मैंने देखा था, वो भी काफ़ी दिलचस्प है. Somebody said that all dogs are spies of Martians. Or Martians are much more developed than us. They have sent these spies, and every day, every dog is sending signals from here to Mars telling us about our misdeeds. So how do we know whether it's correct or not? So people dissected the brain of a dog and found the brain as in any other animal, and they discovered that there is no transmitter in the brain. So this Swami said that the transmitter is biological. You cannot detect it. So there is no way of knowing whether this is true or not. So any model, any theory about a substance or about an event, about things, has to be such that you should be able to know what is the prediction and test its predictions. Einstein gave a theory of, special theory of relativity. He did not get Nobel Prize on that because the experiment to verify the prediction of the theory took about 12 years to be verified. So, I mean, a theory is acceptable only if it has large number of predictions whereby people can make experiment and test it. अगर किसी किताब में ये लिखा हुआ है कि हम 9000 साल पहले जो है वो जुपिटर पे पहुंच गए थे, तो ये आपको मानने की ज़रूरत नहीं है जब तक कि उस एरोप्लेन के टुकड़े आपको कहीं मिल ना जाएं और देखें कि क्या उसमें टेक्नोलॉजी. Let me give you two examples of models which have been hugely successful, and how model is done, that is also very instructive. One is the model of the atom. 500 BC में Democritus said that if I go on dividing a substance, I should not be allowed to do this infinitely. I have to stop at a certain stage, and that stage, he said that this is atom, the smallest particle of an element which cannot be divided. He said indivisible. Atom means indivisible. This is before Christ. Then Dalton gave the atomic theory. He said that atoms of different substances are different. So there is chemical reaction takes place, an atom combined with another atom makes a new compound, and this is how he tried to explain atoms. Then that Dalton's theory continued for about 2000 years. Till newer and newer experiments were made. Then came the Mendeleev's table, and we know the place of different elements in that table. And after that, the last century started with startling discoveries, startling inventions in trying to discover the heart of the atom. Then Rutherford did the experiment, and he discovered that atom is not alone. And before Rutherford, actually, J.J. Thomson, who discovered electron, showed that atom has some structure. It's not a solid ball which does not allow us to enter its side. It has electrons in it. Electrons which are cathode rays. The screen of the television is actually lighted with the help of electrons bombarding on the screen. So that is, electrons are present. So there must be something else because electrons have electrical charge. an atom is electrically neutral, so it must have a positive charge also. So protons were postulated and discovered, and then Bohr's model of the atom, and then further development. In 1932, then neutron was discovered, and we have the neutron-proton model inside the nucleus, which is just very tiny, electrons moving like the planetary system around the atom. So it took more than 3,000 years to be able to unravel the secret of atom. So when somebody says something, please try to verify whether he has done the experiment, whether he has done what predictions he made, what kind of hard work has gone into understanding just a simple atom. I give you another example from biology. It's very difficult to talk about science because science is such a vast subject and there are very specialized areas, and I'm only just a nuclear physicist trying to understand a little bit of nuclear physics, and understanding biology is just too difficult for me. But the example is so beautiful that it's very important that I mention something about you. In the audience, I know that there are some doctors who would be able to tell you more about that example. The idea of genes, that was a model. There was an Austrian monk, Mendel, who was looking at the farming of sweet peas. And he was struck by the color of the flowers, the kind of peas, and he imagined a model about a thing which we now know are called as genes. He made a model, a total assumption, and on the basis of that model, he made predictions. So he cultivated sweet peas over generations to see whether the predictions of his model is correct or not. He discovered that of the 4 peas that come out, 3 peas are smooth and 1 is wrinkly. And this was his prediction. So he was so happy that this prediction, there is something which is called as genes as the smallest building block of plants. Similar is the case of atoms. This paper by Mendel slept for over 100 years. Then large number of people took up the structure of human body, structure of animals, structure of plant, and they discovered the paper of Mendel, and finally the idea of genes as made up of what is called as DNA. It has a very long, difficult name. You don't have to remember that. DNA is just simple enough. DNA is the building block of genes. It carries the information from one generation to the next generation. My son, my daughters, and their progeny will carry on this information. I know that the studies of gene led to, of course, a Nobel Prize to Watson and Crick, who discovered the functioning molecular structure of genes and how it functions. Now we know that it has a large number of uses in large number of fields which are still being investigated, still being studied and found extremely useful. Our building blocks, the genes, contain information about our parents. If I take the genes of a newborn baby, I can certify whether it's coming from these 2 parents or not. So, knowing truth is a very difficult process. And science is the only way of knowing that truth. And in science, mind you, it's not the word of Einstein or Newton or Galileo and all those that count. What is important is that they make predictions and we can test. Even me and you can go in the laboratory and test. So anything which does not follow this rigorous method is not science. That is for sure. Now let me talk about some of the myths. Why we cannot have aeroplanes in the past? I have in my pocket, not an aeroplane, but a simple ballpoint. It has one part, and it has a body. I don't want to open it because it may get spoiled. So it has about 4 parts in it: the nib, the refill, and the body, and this. Right. Even to be able to construct this quantity, this simple object, I need a huge development of technology. I need to be able to construct this kind of ink which I can use. It doesn't get dried. I need to have a nib which has a very little ball at its head, which is very difficult to make if I didn't have proper instruments. However, even if I have these 4 parts and I put inside a box and shake it and say some mantra, abracadabra, abracadabra, these 4 parts will not join each other. Mathematics, to give you a ballpoint, they will not. Why? Because these 4 parts have 24 ways of joining. Mathematics tells me. Combination of 4 parts. So to happen 1 part by just chance is very difficult. 1 over 24, that probability. You must have heard the story of fairy godmother creating a coach with the help of from a pumpkin and horses with mouse. Coach making is a very, very complicated thing. You have to have a wheel which must be circular. You have to have nails which come from some factory. You have to have linen to have comfortable seats. And you have to have a horse which is much bigger than a mouse. So it's not possible. It's not possible because of these things. Not because somebody knows a mantra to create that kind of a thing. It's not possible. So having aeroplanes 9,000 years back, history is very, very cruel also in some ways. We know that Indus Valley civilization, the oldest in India, is 3000 BC. Right? To be able to develop any technology, you first require some kind of a language also. So language was developed, this place, somewhere around 3000 BC. And then technology, of course, everybody knows that even a simple bicycle, you couldn't have been able to make bicycle 200 years back. So making aeroplanes is just impossible. These are stories which are very good to tell when children are growing up. They are great fun. But our leaders sometimes take these stories too seriously. They assume that this is truth. This is not truth. One should go on reminding oneself that these are just beautiful stories which shows the flight of our imagination. Because, we can see birds have been flying since ever. So man wanted to fly like birds, to go from one place to another place without spending too much energy walking on the road, crossing rivers and mountains and all those things. So, this is an imagination, which of course is very important for growth of human society, because it's only by imagining things that we can strive to create aeroplanes. Came because we wanted to fly. Right? We wanted to go to other places outside our Earth, to go to other planets. We created a different kind of technology as rockets. Rockets and airplanes are 2 different kinds of technology. Rockets are based on Newton's 3rd law, action and reaction. The gas goes down and the rocket goes in this direction, and it can go anywhere. Aeroplanes can fly only when there is atmosphere around. This is one, Lord Ganesha's. Why insult Lord Ganesha by subjecting him to a cruel test by scientists, that whether he is a genetic transplant? I know that, doctor sitting in the audience, my son-in-law over there, he would stare me very fiercely if I say anything more. But I know that even between sun and two suns, you cannot have genetic transplant of organ unless they satisfy a list of things, genetically compatible, antigens being same, and I mean, an elephant and mouse, they are genetically different species. You cannot combine them. So that is totally ruled out. Then there is another myth that I was told yesterday night by a young friend, that घर के अंदर अगर चप्पल उल्टी रखी हुई हो तो झगड़ा होगा. मेरी समझ में नहीं आता है कि अगर कहीं कोने में चप्पल रखी हुई है जिसको किसी ने नहीं देखी उल्टी, तो झगड़ा चप्पल की वजह से कैसे हो जाएगा. अच्छा, ये चप्पल में कुछ खास किस्म की एक्सरेज क्या निकलती हैं जो आदमी का मिजाज इतना खराब कर देती है कि वो झगड़ा करने लगता है. तो दिस इज जस्ट टोटल रबिश. But let me talk to another very important area which bothers me very greatly, that is astrology. Astrology is based on our desire to know what is going to happen in our future. Everybody is uncertain about the next day, the day after, and many years ahead of us. If I have a son, I'm worried about how he will grow into a man and how well he would do in future. So this is everybody's desire. There's absolutely nothing wrong in it. However, astrology is developed in India and in other civilizations also, in Chinese and Mesopotamian and Incas, everywhere it developed, because of the desire of trying to know what is going to be, what good or bad is going to happen the next day. So people saw the stars and they said the position of these stars would decide as to what is going to happen. Stars are too far away. Let me give you an example. The nearest star to Earth is Sun. It is massive. It's big as compared to all other planets. Put together, it's much bigger than that. So the greatest influence that it can have on us would be from moon, because other stars are just too far away. We know now. Probably then people did not know. I mean, Indian astrology dates back to the Vedic time, about 1000 to 1500 BC. So what is the influence of sun as the baby is born? I know the distance of sun. I know the mass of the sun. I assume that the baby being born is about 4 to 5 kg. It's a healthy baby. So how the sun is going to affect that baby? Sun is very important for us. All of us know. I mean, whole vegetation on Earth is possible because of sun. We get the light from sun. We get, and through this light, the plants make their food. I mean, life on this planet is possible only because of sun. But I mean, how it's going to affect my future? The gravitational law was discovered by Newton, and nobody knew that in 1000 BC, Newton's law. And Copernicus discovered that Earth revolves around the sun. So the people at that time knew that probably everything else is revolving around Earth. So they did not know about these things. Now, the force of sun on a 5 kilogram baby is equal to the weight of this ballpoint. Nothing more than that. The force which is much more on us is because of the mass of the Earth. It keeps ourselves grounded on Earth. The planets are much far away, number one. And stars are much, much more far away. So their effect is totally negligible. Number one. Number two, all these planets were also not known. I mean, we know now that there are 8 planets and 1 protoplanet. There are comets and satellites and all those things. We know now. They were not known to us. Number one. Number two, we know that huge, violent changes are taking place in the universe. Some stars are dying away, some stars are exploding, new galaxies are formed, old galaxies are being gobbled up by other galaxies. I mean, universe is a very dynamic place. Of course, the time scale over which events are taking place is very big, but it's a very violent place. As we all know that, I mean, even on nearby planets, we know that there is no life, there is no atmosphere, so they are inhospitable, I mean, for any living things. And some stars, and people know about black holes, I mean, which are a very difficult, complex body in the universe, where gravitational force is so strong that even light cannot escape. So anybody who goes there will be totally crushed. All these things we have discovered now. So the effect on a baby calculated by a Swami 5,000 years back is totally off the mark. It cannot be true. Then even in 500 BC, Pythagoras said that astrology is total fraud, because I know that identical twins have different futures, as we can see. So please use astrology to make fun of each other, but do not take it seriously. Then the other fraud, which is very common, I've chosen that simply because large number of people do it, is homeopathy. I mean, how do homeopathic drugs are made? They assume or do certain experiments that this drug is useful for this ailment. So they put this drug in a glass of water, take a drop from there, put it in another glass of water, so it's diluted as many times, then dilute that many more times. I know the number of atoms in 18 grams of water, there are 6 into 10 to the power 23 atoms. I know this. So when I go on diluting, I am reducing the number of possible atoms that I am picking up. Right? And then those several times diluted medicine is put on sugar balls. So probably on a sugar ball, little sugar ball, there may be a possibility of 1 or 2 atoms of the drug and more of sugar in it. Much more sugar in it, sugar molecules in it as compared to the drug. So when you are taking those little very sweet golia given by homeopath, you are taking sugar. Placebo effect is one extremely important thing that happens in many things. If you have faith on me as a healer, then whatever I give you मीठी गोलियां या होम्योपैथी की दवाएं, आप अच्छे हो जाओ, ज़रूर अच्छे हो जाओ। जैसे नस्ले के बारे में कहते हैं कि अगर आपने दवा खाई तो आप 7 दिन में अच्छे होगे, और अगर आपने दवा नहीं खाई तो 1 हफ्ते में अच्छे हो। तो आप जब आंख खराब होती तो आप जाते हो डॉक्टर के पास। अभी मेरी बीवी ने कैटरैक्ट का ऑपरेशन कराया, मैं किसी मंदिर में क्यों नहीं गया कि उनसे कहता कि भाई थोड़ा सा मंत्र पढ़ दीजिए, ये ठीक हो जाए। नहीं, मलेरिया होता है तो मलेरिया की आप दवा खाते हैं, तो बाकी सब चीज़ों में भी ऐसे ही है। होम्योपैथी के बारे में तो अभी पिछले 1 साल भर में ये हुआ है कि इंग्लैंड में पार्लियामेंट में डिबेट हुई, किसी साहब ने एक मोशन पास किया कि होम्योपैथी इज टोटल फ्रॉड, इट शुड बी इन्वेस्टिगेटेड। तो होम्योपैथी के जो सबसे अच्छे रिसर्च पेपर से 200 रिसर्च पेपर सिलेक्ट करके जो होम्योपैथ्स ने उनको दिए, होम्योपैथ से पूछा गया कि आपकी दवाएं किस चीज के ऊपर बेस्ड है, तो ये रिसर्च पेपर्स है इनके ऊपर कि ये दवाएं चाहे आदमी खाए चाहे आदमी ना खाए, इसका कोई असर नहीं। As a result of this, homeopathy has been totally banned in UK. मीठी गोली खाने से अगर आप यूं ही ठीक हो जाते हो तो ऐसा कोई हर्ज नहीं है, लेकिन आप ये सोच के जाओ वहाँ पर कि ये मुझे मीठी गोलियाँ मिल रही हैं, डॉक्टर साहब से अच्छी खासी बात होगी, उसके अलावा जो है वो कुछ नहीं। फिर बहुत हमारे गांव में तो बहुत ज़्यादा है, यहाँ शहर में तो नहीं है, लेकिन मैं उसका भी जिक्र ज़रूर कर दूँ ताकि बात जो है वो कंप्लीट हो जाए। बहुत सारे लोगों को आप ये कह देते हो कि इनके ऊपर तो वो आ गया, कुछ जिन आ गया है या कुछ ये इज़ पजेस्ड। वो बेचारा मेंटली क्या कहते हैं सर? दैट्स राइट। हाँ, पता नहीं वो बेचारा बहुत मुश्किलों में है और उसके ऊपर कुछ मतलब धूनी जमाई जा रही है, उसकी पिटाई हो रही है और उसके साथ बहुत बुरा सलूक किया जाता है, जबकि there are no demons outside our brains. All the demons are inside. And therefore, if we want to confront and fight with the demon, we will have to go to the doctor, who is a specialized doctor for treating the brain. And there are we don't know large number of things about the functioning of the brain. It is still a developing science. And there is nothing wrong in, I'm not ashamed in admitting this fact. However, we know a lot also about the functioning of the brain, and for large number of illnesses, there are surgeries, there are medicines that can cure large number of such people. Please do not ever try to say that somebody has been possessed by some kind of demons. So in the end, I would say that अलीगढ़ में आजकल जो है वो ज़माने में जो है वो नुमाइश लगती है। मैं अलीगढ़ में रहता हूँ, इसलिए मैं आपसे उसका जिक्र कर रहा हूँ। और उसमें बहुत सारे जो है वो जादू के करतब भी आते हैं। एक जादू का करतब जो शायद हर जगह दिखाया जाता है वो ये कि एक खूबसूरत सी लड़की को वो तलवार से बीच से काट देते हैं। ये जादू है। और ऑफ कोर्स आई एंड यू आर टोटली in 100% agreement that this is nothing but a play of tricks, right? So why not others? There also almost जादुई type चीज़ें हैं, astrology हुई या homeopathy हुई या और बहुत सारे इस तरह के elements हैं. The only way of accepting a truth is the one that is based on very rigorous scientific method. There is no other way of knowing. It's not an easy way. इसलिए कि आज कोई इवेंट हो और साइंटिस्ट जो है वो सोच के फिर बताएंगे, हम चाहते हैं कि हमें आज अभी जल्दी से पता चल रहा है, तो आज तो हम स्टोरीज वगैरह उसके कुछ बना के आपस में हंस लें, बातचीत कर लें, बट लेट देम डिसाइड, लेट साइंटिस्ट डिसाइड. प्लीज हैव योर लाइफ बेस्ड ऑन साइंस. देयर इज नो अदर वे ऑफ नोइंग द ट्रूथ. ऑल अदर वेज आर जस्ट intuitions. Most of the time they are wrong. They are because of some other interest in certain people who try to deceive us. Science is the only way of knowing the truth. I would just love to answer any kind of question. However, I must tell you that I'm a nuclear physicist. Science is too big. I remember reading a set of lectures by a Nobel laureate, P.M. Dirac. He was a physicist and he gave a theory about the spin of the electron, and he gave a series of lectures to school in United Kingdom, and the topic of that lectures was what is life. So he was talking about biology. I mean, a physicist talking about biology, that was a very brave thing for him to do, but this is how one has to take some chance to defend science in the onslaught of obscurantism and ignorance and all that. One has to stop all those efforts. आज अगर हमारे क्या नाम है सड़क के ऊपर कोई वाक़या हो जाए तो हम लोग सब जो है वो जाके जो है वो उसको जो भी हम चीज़ सही समझते हैं उसके लिए हम जाके खड़े हो जाएंगे और नारे भी लगा देंगे और जान भी दे देंगे. लेकिन साइंस के खिलाफ जब कोई बात कहता है तो लोग ज़्यादातर जो है चुपचाप सुन लेते हो. ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. थैंक यू वेरी मच.